Hello, welcome everyone to yet another episode in the Simon Go Back series. Today on panel we have Abhi and Nani joining from the same camera. We have Vishal again joining us and showing his face for the first time on the channel. We have Vignesh Balasubramanian. Welcome. He's an avid cricket watcher from Netherlands, and we are pleased to have his inputs on this panel today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, gentlemen, before we move on to the T20 series, we had a wonderfully contested test match, the fourth one, which India won, clinching the series 3-1, qualifying to the World Test Championship. A lot happening. Some thoughts from you guys very quickly to wrap up the entire series. We'll start with the new guy in the team. Here is his cap. Vignesh, take it on.
So I felt India after the first test, at least before the first test started, they were a little, I think so, bemused by the win in Australia, and so there was a little bit of lethargy. But I think so the loss at Chennai in the first test sort of shook them up, and the sort of aggression stemming from Virat's captaincy was very visible from top to bottom. And I think so that's what blew away the England team. I think so as we saw from the first test onwards, there was just a complete decline in skills from the England team. And I think so this was all credit to Virat Kohli and the team. They thoroughly deserved the 3-1 win and the accolades that they came after that.
Yeah, 100% agree. Apart from the efforts from Virat Kohli and his team, Vishal, do you think there was also a lack of the same from England team with all the swaps and changes? They made 4 changes from the winning team onto the second test match. Do you think that impacted?
Yeah, I think it did make an impact. I think England have a lot of matches to play, and they are using this rotation policy for every series where they're resting players based on every game. I think Butler went back, and Bastow was not available for the first test match and came in between the series. I think that impacted their performance in the series. But they were still in the game in the fourth test match, if you would ask me, at least for a day and a half. We were 146 for 6. Right. And it was actually the partnership between Sundar and Pant that took the game away from England. Yeah. And obviously, Akshar also batted well. So, yeah, they did compete in the fourth test as well. But after a day and a half, we were just in the we were just in the top, and they couldn't recover from the partnership that Pant and Washington Sundar had.
Yeah. Yet again, they were the two guys that literally won us the series in Down Under in Australia just earlier this year. And I would like to make some special mention there to Pant. Abhi, you can take this. Do you think he literally dragged Team India all the way to World Test Championship finals? What are your thoughts on that?
Sorry, we missed the question.
The question is, how impactful was Pant as a player for this entire World Test Championship?
Yeah. So there were a lot of questions on how Pant can fit into MS shoes. So that was a major talk, and also Saha was doing really well with the gloves. But when it came to batting, Pant was in his own league, and his aggressive batting, especially in Test matches, coming at number 6, it helps. It turns the game in quick succession, right? So you could see what he did in the recently concluded test match also. That one session is more than enough to change the entire game, right? So that kind of confidence comes when you back the players, and the management has been doing it for quite some time, and you can see the output, you can see the results. So Pant, and that is also improving his keeping skills, right? So that's a good, move from the Indian management, the coaching staff, and also the team selection. So in a way, having a impactful player coming down the order is always a plus for any team.
I 100% agree. Going to the last question to Ani, or do you have some addition to make, Ani?
No, I was about to say about management backing players. So we had Shubman Gill not having a great series, but he got chances in all the matches.
Right.
So he wasn't dropped after one or two games. So I felt that was team. So that was very much visible. And even Washington Sundar, although he might not have got much bowling chances, so that backing up, like yes, we have Washi in the team, at least he's that lower down batsman you can play and also, and Washi also giving some great knock. Unfortunately, he missed out a century, but I mean that overall this gives a lot of positiveness to the players.
I agree. I think there's a lot of camaraderie in that unit in general. We saw that throughout the Australia series as well. It's just the bubble atmosphere. Um, and talking about bubble atmosphere, there is one last question I wish to ask you, Ani. Crowd back in, how much of an effect did that also have in this entire series? The three matches the crowd was in, we won. The one that they weren't, we lost.
Yeah, absolutely. Crowd cheering for India is just gives that boost, and you could see Virat pumped up, and he is asking the crowd to cheer, whistle, everything. So yeah, so the Indian team loves the crowd. That was a great advantage, and the stadium like the one at Motera Narendra Modi Stadium, where you have even if there's a 50% attendance, that itself is such a huge number. So 50, 60,000 people, and if there's full attendance, my God, 1 lakh people cheering for India, that's a great thing to the team.
Yes, I hope to see that soon.
Might be just to add,
Yes.
it's also quite interesting from a viewer's point of view when you're looking at the matches. When there's crowds, you get like these very quirky moments in terms of the Valimai update or the Vati coming dance by Ashwin. So this also adds to the sort of the fun of watching Test cricket. Rather than just seeing in addition to the intrigue and the intensity that exists between bat and ball.
I 100% agree. So that's wrapping up the test series, gentlemen. A very, very well contested and a great test series. Once again this year, might I add. Now let's move on to the next leg of this tour. We have 5 T20 matches all happening on the same stadium. There is lots to play for here, and that's really the first question this I'm going to pose to you, Vishal. What is the relevance of these 5 T20s? How do you think the teams should approach?
Well, I think England are playing their main team, so this series is quite important for them. Keeping in mind the World T20 is going to be held in India later this year. And for India, now that we have qualified for the Test Championship final, I think these 5 T20s and IPL are the only series left to choose the squad, the final squad for the World T20. So this series is of great importance. And this is going to be a blockbuster series if both the teams play to potential. Well, there are match winners all around, and I'm super excited to see what's in store for us in the 5 T20s. Hopefully, all the matches go to the last over and the last ball, and keeps the audience on the toes. So yeah, so very excited.
Yeah. And might add, I hope that India wins at the end.
Yeah,
So, let's continue this conversation. Abhi, it's this I pose to you. Given the relevance and the importance of this series, how do you think India should particularly approach? Do they want to test one or two players, or are they like, no, this will be our 11 and we want our best 11, all 5 opportunities? What do you think?
Yeah, I feel the opening, as Virat mentioned in the press conference, there won't be any changes in the opening, but there's a very good chance that they might experiment with a lower middle order, right?
Mhm.
So we would want a finisher and 5 match series is a good opportunity to try and test. Probably they would go with the same squad for the same team for the first two games, and then based on the results, they might be tempted to test other players. For example, someone like Surya Kumar Yadav, you're not sure where to fit him because you already have Shreyas Iyer in the team who's at number 4, right?
Mm.
So these are the players they might be tempted, and probably during the course of the series they would go, they would try and check if they can assign a particular role to each individual.
Yeah, I would poke about these choices later on today. But before we get into analyzing the team completely, Vignesh, five matches all in the same ground. What kind of pitches do you think we will play? Will we have a mixture of all, a belt of 200 plus both sides, or a 160 where both bat and ball are in balance?
I think so. If I was in the Indian team management perspective, I would go for a bat and ball kind of scenario, and not a one-sided game completely. Because if you go to the World T20 front, it will be the pitches will be controlled by the ICC. So in that situation, you will never have a pitch that favors one skill set completely, and it will be a mixture. And in that situation, you also get the opportunity to test your middle order, where in those crunch situations you want to see how your batsmen in the middle order and lower middle order perform in a situation where your top order doesn't come good. So I think from an Indian management perspective, I would ask the board to prepare a pitch which supports both sides, to also test the team as a unit, and to see how they respond in really tough and tricky situations, given that we are playing against a really good England side.
Yeah, I agree. Uh, I think that's talk outside the team as well, and it's interesting to see how we match up in all possible circumstances. And let's dive a bit deeper into certain things that I felt was relevant discussing about the team itself. Ani, I will ask you this. We know Virat Kohli just gave a press conference that he will go with Rohit and Rahul on the top. The question really is, do you think there's a lack of left-hander influence in the top? Do you think that would hurt us in this series? And
I don't think so. Rohit and Rahul is like a dream opening combination. I mean, they are one of the best T20 players in the world right now. So
Mhm.
with such a combination, and with Virat and not like there's a Hardik Pandya down. So in the middle you have Shreyas Iyer. So or a Surya Kumar Yadav, as I've been mentioning.
Mhm.
So when you have this beautiful right-handers, I don't feel the need for a left-hander as such.
Okay. Uh, all right, then
I guess probably if Amog was there, he would have disagreed to it.
we know he's not an opener. So, anyway, progressing. This one I'll ask you, Vignesh. The same bracket. We saw that KL Rahul approached a more anchoring kind of role in the just concluded IPL. Do you think he will continue playing such a role, or do you think he'll be more free vis-a-vis how we saw him during the IPL in 2018, 2019?
I think so. With the Indian team, the dynamic changes at the top of the order, because you're playing with someone like Rohit Sharma. Rohit Sharma likes to play that anchoring role. He likes to take the 15-20 deliveries to set himself up, so that he can play that big innings. As we know, Rohit Sharma does. He can go all guns blazing towards the end and get a 50 ball 150 if it's his day. He's that kind of a batsman, and therefore, if you have to get a good start, then KL Rahul will be needed to go all guns blazing from ball one. So therefore, the approach that he took in the IPL, where I think so he was the main sheet anchor for the team,
I think.
will not be the same role that he'll play for the Indian team, because it's a totally different scenario, and I think so it's a totally different mixture also that he has within the Indian team in terms of batsmen and all rounders. And therefore he's not restrained, or he's not restricted to play his free flowing game, which he's quite known for, and he's got the flair and the class with all the shots that he plays.
I agree. Let's move further from the openers bracket, although we can discuss for lengths about it. Ani, I will pose you this question. The Although there's a lot of talent in the lower middle order, do you feel that there's a lack of experience when it comes to um, real scenarios, especially playing for India? The quality, or rather the experience, tapers off. Do you think that's an issue?
That's an interesting question, Akshar. Uh, so I could think since this series 5 T20s, so this puts in that test for them. Like if at all there's a good pitch, as Vignesh was mentioning earlier, where if there's a not like a one-sided batting paradise, like or there's a good pitch there, and so that puts uh, these people to expose, like it will expose our middle order, and at least for that we should have a 1 or 2 matches top order failure, so that we are better off here than in the World T20s.
Yeah. Gentlemen, do you still hear me? I think my video has paused for some reason. Uh, but okay.
Yeah, we can hear you.
It's strange. Anyway, let's move on. Vishal, the next question to you. Same question. We know that when it comes to the biggest matches, especially semifinals, and in these we see that constantly our top order suddenly does not perform, and then the pressures on the middle order, they uh, you know give it away so often that Virat Kohli has never had the opportunity to covet a good ICC trophy. My question is, what combination would you pick in the middle order that allows us the balance and that basically the teeth to clinch a victory?
Well, yeah, that's a good question. Quite some time since we won an ICC trophy. So I think the balance that we have Hardik Pandya and Rishabh Pant playing probably 5 and 6 for us.
Yeah.
I think the only slot where we would probably test or rotate around is at number 4. I think it will be either between Surya Kumar Yadav or Shreyas Iyer, and at number 5. So looking at the composition of the English side, I think Washington Sundar will start because I think they have a lot of left-handers. So if you would ask me, as we know, KL Rahul and Rohit are going to open, and followed by Kohli. So I think at number 4 it's going to be either Surya Kumar Yadav or Shreyas Iyer, followed by Pant and Pandya, and at number 7 you're going to have Washington Sundar. I think it's a dynamic side. Washington Sundar in the T20 game hasn't been explosive, or rather hasn't had the opportunity. But I still believe that he can give us 20, 30 quick odd runs in the end if given the time and the opportunity. So I think the side is quite balanced. It's just that we have to put in performances on the park and make the top 3 believe that the people in the middle order can contribute with quick runs in the end.
Mm.
Yeah.
I agree. Let's go now to the last facet of our 11, and an important one, bowling. Vignesh, if you look at this team, Bhuvneshwar Kumar, a clear standout. But apart from that, the team are greats of the last 2-3 IPLs. It's credit that the IPL system is working well. But how do you feel they will hold up, especially against the great batting lineup of England? What are the key matches that you think are important?
I think so. In terms of the variation bowlers, in terms of, you have the Shardul Thakurs and the Deepak Chahars who can bowl this off cutters, this, the back of the hand delivery, and can also swing the ball. And then they're also quite good with the bat. So in terms of those kind of bowlers, we are well covered with respect to the spin department. As Vishal mentioned, we have Rahul Chahar, we have Yuzvendra Chahal, we have Washington Sundar. So we are also well covered in that. I think so. We are missing an out and out fast bowler who can come and blow teams at the top. You look at all the great teams. You look at Australia, they have Mitchell Stark, Pat Cummins. You look at New Zealand, they have the Trent Bolt. You have these. If you look at England, they have Jofra Archer, who can come in and just intimidate the batsmen with just their pace and bounce. I think so. In this series, we are lacking that, and I think so. We really are missing, someone like Mohammad Shami, who can, with his, or even T Natarajan, with their pace and then the left arm action and then the amount of, bounce they generate from the pitch itself, that they can surprise batsmen. Off the pitch, not off the hand, but off the pitch with their extra pace, they can surprise batsmen. And I feel that's something we miss with this team. I'm pretty confident we'll have those bases covered for the T20 World Cup, but I think so for this 5 T20s, it's going to be a lot of the onus on Bhuvaneshwar Kumar to actually be able to create that pace, which we know that he's not known for in his career as a bowler. So it's going to be interesting to see how the Indian bowlers actually match up to that, because we know that the English batsmen are quite powerful, explosive, and then they have the ability to intimidate bowlers when they see that they're lacking in certain aspects.
They are quite assertive, the English batsmen, and I hope our bowlers are able to match that. But it was a very comprehensive reply. Thank you, Vignesh. Let's.
Akshay, to add one point to what Vignesh said. We have this Akshar Patel, the hero of the Test series. So the English, so he being in the side would add great strength. And you had asked a question earlier of left-handers. So imagine this situation of Pant, Akshar Patel and Sundar playing together. So there will be again continuous left-handers in that side.
I don't need to imagine that scenario. It happened in the last Test match. It's really great signs for Indian cricket. That much I'll agree. Before we move on a bit further, one last comment. Any worries regarding the fielding department? Thoughts about that? Maybe Vishal?
No.
Okay.
I think we are a good enough fielding side. Yeah. Well, obviously there'll be odd catches dropped here and there. I don't think we are that bad a fielding side. We're one of the best fielding sides in the world. So yeah, I don't have any concerns.
All right. Then my job is. Abhi, please.
No, it will be interesting to see how we field under lights, because when the test match happened, you don't get a lot of high catches, right? It's more to do with the slip cordon. So especially in the new stadium, it's interesting to see how they handle it, because I remember Vishal pointing out during IPL how every team struggled, right? So that would be interesting.
It's also, that was also the background behind the questions. In the IPL, we saw quite a few drop catches. Anyway, moving on to the last segment. It's a simple one. The players to watch out for, the X factor in this series, and also those who could be our potential match winners for the World Cup. You can take a batsman and a bowler. I'll come to each one of you. Let's begin with Ani. Hello, Ani.
For me, it is KL Rahul and Yuzvendra Chahal.
Okay, that's a nice pick. Abhi?
I'll be picking the other rope. For me, it's Rohit Sharma in limited overs, and I'll be choosing between two. Is making a comeback, and he would want to give those impactful performances. So these are the players.
Okay, I think I couldn't hear you well. It's probably my internet also. I'm unaware. But okay, let's move on. Vishal?
I think I would go with probably Surya Kumar Yadav in the batting department. He's been a consistent performer for in the last 3 IPLs for Mumbai Indians, and yeah, he's sort of a player who can play all over the wicket, 360 kind of player, and he could, if given an opportunity, he could score runs in a very good strike rate. And in the recently concluded, or rather, he played 5 matches in the Vijay Hazare Trophy. He scored around 300 runs at the strike rate of 150 odd. So he's in tremendous form, and I would like to see him play in the 11 and contribute with the bat. So I'm looking forward to see him play. And in the bowling department, I think as Abhi mentioned, Bhuvneshwar Kumar is making a comeback, and he's been one of our premier fast bowlers. Hard luck with injuries in the last couple of years, but yeah, he's a bowler who can bowl with the new ball, swing the ball, and bowl at the depth. So I'll be looking at him very closely and seeing whether he could contribute with the ball in the first 6 and in the death overs as well.
Understood. Okay. Vignesh,
From my point of view, I would pick Virat Kohli because Virat Kohli has not been at his best, and I think so now is the right time for him to start getting back into his peak form that he was for almost 8-9 years prior to the COVID situation. So for me, the player I would like to nominate from batting point of view would be Virat. And from a bowler, I wouldn't go bowler, but for me, it's more the all-rounder because I think we are lacking in terms of the finishing quality. So therefore, for me, I would actually go with Shardul Thakur, and I would like to see how he bowls both at in 3 stages. The when with the new ball in the middle overs when batsmen are well set, and then also towards the end at the death, with his off cutters and the slower deliveries, how he performs. And also to see if he can show a glimpse of what Dhoni was, because Dhoni was a master of the chase and then also finishing off games, and to see if Shardul Thakur can contribute over there and then help India narrow the gap in finishing games, and then take us past the World Cup hurdle that we've been having in winning trophies.
All right, gentlemen, I thank you for your wonderful inputs. I think we covered almost all topics. The rest will come as the T20s evolve. Then we can start poking holes if need be. For now, I'm very excited, and thank you for joining me. And
Acha, before we end up, talking of 3 stages, I would just want to tell the first stage we sent the Simon really well. So this is the second stage is starting tomorrow.
I agree, and I hope it's a clean sweep in all 3 formats of the game. I'm super excited for tomorrow, and I'm sure everyone is, all of you are. And thank you for watching this. We'll be back again covering the second T20. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.